Now I know that DBT07 has been reviewed like a long time ago, 1 month ago I think, but hey, it's still not the release date of DBT07, so this is going to be the first week of DBT07 reviews for Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. Let's take a look at what the first week actually brings for the existing support. First off, for Dragon Empire, we have Gallant Flare Dragon. Active Rearguard Circle, cost Counterblast 1 and put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your Vanguard. Until the end of that turn, it gets auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, draw a card and countercharge 1. So this is most probably going to be Drajeweled Overlord support, because Drajeweled Overlord will be able to take much more advantage of this card, since you know he's attacking twice and most likely he is gonna hit like 2 of them. This card actually provides you with the soul resources as well as help replenish your hand if it hits. The soul here is basically quite vital if you want to keep spamming Nehalem, because Nehalem costs a soul to give himself as well as Drajeweled Overlord the 5k power. What's more, the counter charge is definitely appreciated here, because Drajeweled Overlord tends to run out of counterblast if that whole match is going to be a very long drag out game. However, you need to hit both times of Drajeweled Overlord attack, only then you're able to get the plus out of it. Because since this card costs 1 counterblast, the first time Drajeweled Overlord hits, you are getting the counter charge, which basically negate this card's cost. You need to hit a second time, only then you will get a +1 on your counter charge. So I guess it's not that bad of a card, and since you do draw a card, I think it's not that bad, if you ask me. Next up, we have Blaze Hook Monk Nissha. Auto when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Rearguard with 2 or more original dress, cost Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's Rearguard and retire it. So this is most probably going to be specific to the Cross Overdress right line, because the only way for you to get 2 or more original dress on a unit is by Cross Overdress. So yeah, it's very sad for Overdress players, but really decent for Cross Overdress. This is like a very easy way for you to snipe one of your opponent's Rearguard for a mere Soul Blast 1. With that even being said, I think this will probably be skipped due to space issues, because you know Cross Overdress is not something like a very space friendly right line, because you need to have all your trick stars as well as all your original dress materials. So I don't think this card will be run, as we see more Virenas being revealed as well as Prayer Dragons. Moving on to Dark States, we have a lot, and I mean 3 cards for Drajeweled. Demonic Stone Dragon Matelbara. Auto when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, cost Counterblast 1, choose a card from your drop and put it into your soul. Then if your soul has 4 more cards with different grades, this unit gets 10k power until the end of turn. So this card does help with setting up the soul cost for Drajeweled, since you know Drajeweled need 4 different card grades in the soul, and since you are able to choose any cards in the drop zone, this will actually make this card to ride through the right deck actually super nice. And what's more, this card being a 20k attacker as a one-off is actually super scary, because after you use him, you can just intercept him away. And not to mention, since Drajeweled reduced your opponent's Vanguard power to 1, this 20k means that he has to throw down a 20k shield just for this attack, and this is of course not including personal right as well as booster, so this card is definitely something. However, the beauty of this card is that he's not really restricted to Drajeweled. You just need to have 4 or more cards with different grades in the soul in order to get the 10k. So maybe Chaos can use this, because you know Chaos needs 13 different card names in the soul. So yeah, this card I think can be played, but whether or not it's going to be a stapler, it's still up for debate. Next up is Demonic Jewel Dragon Rystal Gale. Auto Rearguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you Soul Blast 4 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard ability this turn, put a card from your hand into your soul, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's Rearguard and retire it. Can only be used if you Soul Blast 4 or more cards at once. So hand filtering, very nice, as well as preparing Drajeweled for the next turn, because as we all know, after Drajeweled Soul Blast the 4 different grades, you will tend to have a bit of a problem getting specific grades into the soul. This card actually does help with that by exchanging one of your hand with a fresh draw, which is actually very nice. What's more, this also provides Drajeweled with board control. Drajeweled is looking to be like one of the more scarier deck. Having multi-attack as well as board control Yeah, this deck is like very disgusting. Although you do have to choose whether or not you want multi-attack or you want board control. But having both options at the ready is actually something that I am looking forward to when playing Drajeweled. Once again, it's not really restricted to Drajeweled. The only other right line within Dark States that can utilize this card is basically Bruce, because Bruce Soul Blast 5, which basically fulfills Rystal Galer's skill. And this also allows Bruce to have a board control. So yeah, do as you will with that information. Next up is the double R Power Gem Dragon. Auto Rigor Circle. When this unit boosts, if you Soul Blast 4 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard ability this turn, cost Blast 1, look at the top 2 cards, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it into your hand as put the rest into their soul. Yeah, so this is basically going to refund 1/4 of Drajeweld's skill if you do use Drajeweld's skill beforehand. Although you could like put both cards into the soul, because it only says choose up to 1 card among the 2 and put up to 1 into the hand. You can just not choose anything to put into your hand and put those 2 cards into the soul, which will actually refund half of Drajewel's skill, depending on what your soul looks like, that is. It is a really nice card and allows you to basically select what cards you need to your hand out of the top 2, which is actually super nice. Although the other card is gonna move into the soul, so if both of those cards are triggers, it's gonna suck a little bit, just a little bit. I don't think this will be an absolute stapler because of, you know, the costing 1 Blast is really bad at this moment, because the more you use, the more you're stacking a lot of Blasts. I know Drajeweld does not really use a lot of Blasts, but hey, these Blasts actually stack, and this is only 1 card. There are other cards that basically use Blasts. Once again, Bruce also could use this card, but judging the fact that this costs 1 Blast, I don't think Bruce will want to run this, as opposed to Rystal Galer. Rystal Galer does not really cost a Blast, which is super nice. Moving on to Keter Sanctuary, we have Divine Sister Langue de Chat, probably butchered that name. Continuous Rigor Circle. If your soul has a grade 3 or greater card, this unit gets boost and power plus 5k, active on opponent's turn 2. This card can be used in all Keter Sanctuary as long as you persona right. Since the requirement needs you to have a grade 3 or greater in the soul, this means that this card will be a very late in activation for the skill. So it's not really that great of a card, since you will need to wait until the 4th turn unless you're able to put in a grade 3, which I think there's one grade 2 that allows you to do that. But you might as well run something better, because there are tons of cards that is better than this card. This is only a 15k booster with a restriction as well. So yeah, most probably a skip here. Next up, we have Knight of Enmity Aine. Although when this unit is retired from Rearguard Circle by any player's card ability, if your hand has 3 or less cards, draw a card. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a support for Peanut Butter, because, you know, Peanut Butter does retire your rear guard like crazy. So the draw is actually very nice, but the restriction needing you to be at 3 or less cards in hand is not that good. It's really not that good. The fact that this card is active on your opponent's turn 2 is actually super nice. Now, whether or not you will want to run this card is still debatable, because you are sacrificing a precious slot for something that is waiting for the opponent to do stuff as well as your own, and that restriction actually does hurt this card like big time. I don't think will be run, but 1 or 2 copies I think is not too much to ask. Next is Knight of Gale Kyneburga. Continuous Rigor Circle. During your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5k. Skip. There's no way to sugarcoat this. This is not really good. Moving on to Stoicheia, Sylvan Horned Beast Alpin. Auto Rigor Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, this unit gets 5k power until the end of that battle for every 2 of your grade 2 or greater units. If this unit gets 10k power, and by this effect, at the end of that battle, cost bind this unit and countercharge 1 and soul charge 1. This card will be a 25k attack with a full board of grade 2 and above unit, which means that this unit will be plussing 15k by his own effect. Since it only says grade 2 or greater unit, this includes the Vanguards and also includes himself. So if you have 6 or more, if you have 6 grade 2 or and above units on the field, this card will be at 25k, which is super nice. Not to mention Magnolia does give a small 5k, which makes this a 30k attacker, which is super nice. The much needed counter charge as well as Soul Charge is, I think, is super nice for Magnolia, but the problem here is that he has to sacrifice himself in order to use it, which is a shame. Next up, we have Sylvan Hornbeast Seroll. Auto when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle from deck or hand, if you have a Vanguard with Sylvan Hornbeast in its card name, cost Soul Blast 1, look at top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Magnolia in its card name from among them, reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Second skill, continuous Rearguard Circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, your personal right increases the power of your back row unit as well. This is actually quite surprising. A personal right or a grade 4 searcher. This is actually very nice, although it does cost 1 soul, but I think it's quite okay. The second skill, however, does encourage you to run personal right Magnolia instead of the grade 4, since the only way for you to personal right is through a grade 3 build. The grade 4 build, although it's really strong, but as we get more of this kind of support, I think the grade 4 will slowly phase out and most of Magnolia player will be focusing on personal right Magnolia, which is what happened to Bruce as well. And what's more, this card does actually makes the personal right power affects the back row, which is something that is desperately needed for Magnolia, because the personal right only affects the front row does hurt them quite a bit. I heard them complaining like no tomorrow already. But yeah, this card, as per my knowledge at this moment, I think the personal right affects the back row, which means that you are getting 10k to the front row as well, an extra 10k to the back row. So I may be mistaken if there is a ruling change, but as of now, this is what I understand. So do let me know if I am wrong regarding this ruling. And lastly, we have Agogic Dragon. Continuous Rearguard Circle. If you have a Vanguard with Leonorn in this card name, all of your other rearguards in the same column as this unit gets boost. Skip. There's just skip this. You have better stuff to be run than, you know, giving a rearguard boost. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section of what do you think of the first week for DBT07. It's actually looking really nice for Drajeweled, but we also have a meta shift for Magnolia as well, moving away from the grade 4 and back to the grade 3. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.